Hello everyone, welcome to Druv Online Academy. In this 30-day revision series, today we can revise the unit Research Aptitude. Today we can see what is research, steps of research and methods of research. If you haven't subscribed to our channel already, please do subscribe to Druv Online Academy. Research helps a field evolve. Every field needs research to develop because only through research we will be able to find new theories. We can check if old theories are still valid and relevant. So research is an essential element for all fields. What is research? We gain new knowledge through research, but how do we do that? How does that become possible? We conduct a systematic and a logical inquiry to gain more information and add new knowledge. Research is completely evidence based, and that is why it is called scientific. I said logical inquiry because it follows an order, it follows a sequence. We can see that later in steps of research. Now let's see the objectives of research. Why research has to be conducted? To understand a situation better, research helps us. It can be an event or phenomenon. Research helps in understanding the nature of it, the reasons behind it, why it happens so, and the consequences of it, the effects or the aftermath. So research helps in these areas. And only through research, we can update what we know. We can eliminate the irrelevant information or base of knowledge and integrate what is new, what is current, and what is in the current trend, and how do we include that in the already existing base of knowledge. Research also helps us in decision making and helps in finding solutions for problem. So a researcher has one or few of these objectives in mind and explore the field accordingly. Sometimes the researcher might just want to explore a field, and other times a researcher might want to find a solution for an existing problem. Steps of research. First, it starts with choosing a broad area or a discipline. So this can be something that we are interested in or some area that demands our immediate attention. From the broad discipline, we need to narrow down and focus on a specific topic. Once the topic is identified, we need to identify a particular research problem and develop research questions around that problem. We need to consider few factors before framing this research problem. We need to know why is it important to study this topic now? What is the relevance? And who is affected because of this problem? Through our research, are we trying to come up with a solution, or are we just describing the situation as it is? For example, the broad area of interest could be Indian economy, and from there the specific topic needs to be narrowed down, something like recession. And then we need to identify a specific research problem, like how recession affects a particular segment of the society, like say self-employed people. How recession affects self-employed people in India. With this level of understanding, we will be able to form a hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement, it's a predictive statement. It attempts to explain the relationship between variables involved in the research. Is there a research work for this particular problem? Already existing research. We need to do a review of existing literature. And then comes research design. So research design is like the blueprint for research. It includes purpose of research, the aim and objective, and the problem statement. We need to mention the variables involved in research and what scale it comes under, and how are the variables measured in the research. And then technique for sampling. So we need to collect data from samples. But how do we choose the samples? What method will we use to choose the samples? That will come under technique for sampling. And then we collect the data. What is the tool that we use to collect data? And what is the method that we use to collect the data? And finally, what methods will we use to analyze the data? So these are the elements of research design. And then moving to the steps of research. After the research design, after the groundwork is done, we can start collecting the data, and once the data is collected, we need to analyze the data. From the result, we will interpret, we will form a conclusion, and finally write a report of our research work. So this is the whole process of research. These are the steps from choosing the research topic to report writing. Next, we'll see methods and types of research. What is method? What is type? Methods are techniques that we use to conduct the research, and types are different kinds of research, the variety of research which are classified based on different criteria or different categories. So these categories could be purpose. We can classify research based on purpose, the time frame required to conduct research, the method of study involved, nature of data that is required for the research, and settings in which the research is conducted. We'll see methods of research. For better understanding, we can classify it into two categories: experimental method and non-experimental methods. In experimental method, what we do is that there will be two variables: independent variable and dependent variable. Independent variable is the one over which the researcher has full control. The researcher can manipulate this independent variable at any point throughout the research. And why is the researcher doing that? To see the effect of independent variable on the dependent variable. For example, a teacher can keep changing the teaching methods to find which is the most effective teaching method that will have a positive impact on learners' performance. So here the independent variable is teaching method and the dependent variable is learners' performance. Next is non-experimental method. In this method, the researcher does not have any control over the independent variable. In observational method, the researcher observes the situation, observes people's behavior as it occurs without manipulating anything there. Next is survey method. In survey method, data is collected by asking questions to a set of sample. Next is correlational method. This explains the relationship between variables involved in research. And the last is case study. This is in-depth exploration of a particular event or a concept or even a person. This is about non-experimental methods. Now we'll see types of research. First, descriptive versus analytical. So descriptive research aims to describe the situation as it exists. So we can use some methods like survey or correlational and even comparative methods for descriptive research. And analytical. So the names are self-explanatory what the type of research is all about. In analytical research, we analyze and evaluate a pre-existing concept. So here we can use existing data and theories. We can take that and critically evaluate and analyze. Next is fundamental research. So fundamental research, the main purpose is to gather more knowledge and generalize it and make it into a theory. So we saw some theories in day 2 of our revision series like Gardner's theory, Piaget's theory, Bloom's theory. All those theories are products of fundamental research. Next is applied research. Applied research focuses on application of the existing knowledge, application of existing theories. So we know that there is a theory called Piaget's theory of cognitive development that has come out of fundamental research. But how are we going to apply? When we use this theory to form a curriculum, a school curriculum, then that becomes a product of applied research. Because this bridges the gap between theory and practice and helps us solve a real life problem. Quantitative versus qualitative. So in quantitative, this deals with the variables which can be measured in terms of numbers, in terms of quantity. So if it can be measured in that way, then we can use survey or correlation method. In qualitative, the variables cannot be measured in numbers. It cannot be expressed in quantities, and we need to use other methods like word association test, sentence completion test, and projective techniques to make sense of the data that we have gathered. Next is conceptual versus empirical. Conceptual research is related to an abstract theory or an abstract idea or concept. Generally, philosophers use this conceptual research. Empirical research is completely scientific. It is data driven. It is evidence based. In empirical research, the researcher starts with a hypothesis. We saw that hypothesis is a temporary statement which aims to explain the relationship between the variables. So this hypothesis is set out and then the researcher collects data and then move on to proving or disproving the hypothesis. The nature of investigation is scientific in empirical research. Next, exploratory and explanatory research. Exploratory research aims to explore a specific subject or a topic, whereas explanatory research gives explanation for a concept, for an event or phenomenon. It gives the reasons behind it. It gives the after effects or consequences of it. Next, longitudinal research and cross-sectional research. Longitudinal study observes same participants over an extended period of time, whereas cross-sectional studies examine different samples at one point in time, different groups of people at one point in time. For example, if a researcher wants to study the effects of meditation or mindfulness practice on one's mental well-being, then in longitudinal research, a particular number of participants will be selected and they will be studied extensively for a long period of time, like for 10 years or 12 years, to know how meditation has had an effect in their mental well-being. Next, historical research. In this is related to the events or people of the past. So this type of research uses documents, historical documents, photographs and remains, and also some interviews or conversations with people who are related to it if possible. This is about historical research. Ex post facto research method is where the researcher investigates a particular topic or event after it had occurred. For example, a researcher might investigate the probable reasons for a sudden drop in employee productivity after that drop had occurred. Okay. Next is action research. This is intervention based, this is application oriented and solution focused. Here a problem is identified and then an intervention is proposed to bring about a change, and that intervention is implemented and the results are observed. If there is no positive result even after implementation of that intervention, then again the whole process will be repeated. So action research is cyclical in nature. Now we'll revise some previous year questions from these topics. First question, a hypothesis is option A, a certain and established finding. Option B, a part of the research question. Option C, a strategy of evaluating data. And option D, a tentative statement providing an explanation. Option D is the right answer for this question. Next question. Which of the following sequence of research steps is logical in the list of given options below? Okay. So first option, problem formulation, analysis, development of research design, hypothesis, collection of data, arriving at generalization and conclusion. Okay. Second, development of research design, hypothesis making, problem formulation, data analysis, arriving at conclusion and data collection. C, problem formulation, hypothesis making, development of research design, collection of data, data analysis, formulation of generalization and conclusion. D, problem formulation, deciding about the sample and data collection tool, formulation of hypothesis, collection and interpretation of research evidence. Okay, so we know that the steps of research is, it starts from formulating the problem and then forming a hypothesis and then deciding on a research design and data collection, data analysis, and then followed by conclusion. So C is the right option for this question. Third question, Through which research method the manipulation of independent variable and its effect on dependent variable is examined with reference to a hypothesis under controlled conditions? We look at the options. A. Ex post facto method, B. Descriptive method, C. Case study method, and D. Experimental research. Experimental research is the method where independent variable is manipulated and its effect on dependent variable is studied under controlled conditions. So option D is the right answer. Next question. Which of the following is an initial mandatory requirement for pursuing research? Okay. So this is about steps of research. Option A. Developing a research design. Option B. Formulating the research question. C. Deciding about the data analysis procedure. D. Formulating research hypothesis. Okay. Forming research hypothesis or deciding on a research design, deciding about data analysis procedure, all that comes after formulating the research question. So option number 2, formulating the research question, is the right answer. Last question. This question has 2 lists and this is about research methods. Okay. Experimental method, ex post facto, descriptive, symbolic interaction, and action research. Experimental method, we know it is about manipulating an independent variable and measuring the effect of independent variable on dependent variable. So A matches with 3. Next, ex post facto method. Looking at the options in list 2, we can find that observing the effect on dependent variable and making probes into factors or variables which explain it. Remember, in ex post facto method, after the event had happened, the researcher will investigate it and try to come up with explanations for it. So B will match with 6. Next, descriptive method. So in this research, looking at the options in list 2, it will match with 5th. Obtaining information concerning the current status of phenomena. It describes situation as it is. So C5. D. Symbolic interactions. Symbolic interactions. This matches with option 2 in list 2, explaining patterns of behavior in terms of their meanings and representations which people share. Last, action research. Action research is intervention based. So this E matches with 1. Interventions to ameliorate a given situation. So now A3, B6, C5, D2, E1. Looking at the answer codes here, D is the right answer for this question. That's for today. Tomorrow we can revise sampling techniques. Hope this video helps you. Please do like and share the video and subscribe to Druv Online Academy. Thank you for watching.